Hello everyone, today we're going to see in detail little top 10 I've prepared about the most known distributions on the market, why you should or shouldn't consider using them, out of the jungle of the thousands of distros available on the market today. Yeah, just basically look at this. Yep, it's intimidating. Some guys are already getting pissed off and frustrated upon seeing this when they consider an alternative to Windows. And I'm here to clear things up in this video today. But before we start this, let's shortly recapitulate on what is Linux. Linux is a kernel, the heart of an operating system, generally working alongside GNU packages, making an operating system made of the two, more technically GNU+Linux. But we're getting a little bit off topic here. The Linux distributions are different ways to put those together from the point of view of a different set of individuals, meaning that there is not a single best distribution. You'll find a distribution that fits a certain kind of use, that fits you more from the way it works. The principles and philosophy behind it. And also, none of those actually have a particular look. So don't say you'll choose one because of how it looks. It really gets me triggered. You can easily do that anytime, anywhere. So without further ado, let's get started.
Starting big with Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a user-friendly distribution that empathizes in giving its user the less possible to do, as user-friendly implies, while providing a stable operating system usable by everybody. It has unofficially been the most used Linux distribution and is probably nowadays the most name known around the globe. Yeah, I can attest to that. It is even known where I live. Dang. However, I don't recommend it to anyone anymore. In 2012, a controversy spoiled Ubuntu's name. The desktop environment it used at the time, Unity, was linked to Amazon, which allowed Canonical to make revenue at any clicks a random user would make on any images sent to the computer by Amazon. This was made without any permissions from the people using the operating system at the time, which propelled Ubuntu's respect of your privacy lower than Windows 7 at the time. Nowadays, Microsoft uses the same tactic to target your data, searching through Bing for a single computer search, and Ubuntu retconned that feature, asking you to opt in for your data to be sent to Amazon servers. But still, I don't trust a company with such strategies. I don't trust Microsoft for this reason, and the same for Canonical. Ubuntu remains a fairly good operating system, even though I don't use it for the reasons stated before, and because it is, to me, a spoon-feeding and hindering distribution that I had a bad experience with. I choose to start this video with Ubuntu for this. Overall, KDE Neon is a fork of Ubuntu that is safer to use and that I recommend for what you'd want to use Ubuntu for instead. Moving on. Fedora. Fedora was at one point the most used Linux
the show, and I'd just like to interject for a moment. What you're referring to as Linux is in fact GNU+Linux, or as I've recently taken to calling it, GNU+Linux. Linux is not an operating system unto itself, but rather another free component of a fully functioning GNU system, made useful by the GNU...
Okay. Yeah, GNU/Linux distribution on the market. It is known for being relatively easy to use with fresh components, allowing a pleasant and extremely secure user experience. Fedora is the free community version of RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, a commercial distribution maintained by Red Hat Incorporated, meaning that it is maintained by a community and a company at the same time, allowing it to be one of the most reactive GNU/Linux distribution on the market. And it is supported by most software companies while being one of the most secure, free and open source distribution ever made. Heck, even Linus Torvalds use it. I don't really recommend it nor use it as my daily driver because I find it fairly heavy on my computer's resources, and because an untold truth about Fedora is basically that it is a rolling distribution that ignores itself. It updates almost as frequently as Arch Linux while being heavier, and is notorious for not being really stable. bleeding edge software implies. Some people go as far as saying that it is a testing ground for Rails packages, which I can understand. Next. Gentoo. Gentoo is a bit of a love-hatred story for me. It may be the fastest distribution on the market. Heck, no. It is the fastest distribution on the market, but it comes at an expense. Kind of a big one. You gotta do everything on your own. If Gentoo was a car, it would be sort of a Formula 1 you'd have to get under the leather for every action. In more technical terms, you'd have to compile everything from the top to the bottom. You'll end up with an operating system tailored for your hardware, blazing fast, but you will have to spend a considerable amount of time to compile and update your software. It doesn't have a particular desktop environment prepared, so no user interface per default. Some might say it is rendered easy by Portage, its package management system, but hey, I ain't using it anyway. It practically became a meme at this point in the community for how time-consuming and hard it is to use. I may read a bit from the wiki to let you know. Alright, so because of this highly manual approach to installing the system, always keep in mind that installing Gentoo will probably be literally the longest operating system install in your life, ever. You have been warned. Take your time when installing Gentoo. Expect the installation to be a wild ride of problems, achievements, and milestones, and don't try to rush it. If you're a NEET with literally nothing else to do, you might be able to rush a Gentoo installation in at least 24 hours. If you're a busy person with a day job and friends, it might take you over an entire week to set everything up. Yeah, an entire frigging week if you basically have a life. Moving on. MyGaya. MyGaya is a user-friendly distribution that aims to provide full control of your operating system while providing you tools to do so. A bit like Windows used to do, with a control center. I used it a little bit as it was my go-to operating system to install on computers that I was asked to fix extensively, and I found out there was a few quirks here and there. It used to be heavy and the control center a bit buggy, but at the time it was a fairly recent distribution as it was based on Mandriva, a French distribution that died in 2012. Nowadays, it seems to have been fixed up. It releases a new version in a 9-month cycle. It is a very good distribution to consider if you are moving from a proprietary operating system such as Windows or Mac OS. Arch Linux. One of the best distributions out there, based on the KISS philosophy, which is an acronym for Keep It Simple, Stupid. It is a cutting-edge running distribution, meaning it has no stable version. It is targeted at power users, although newbies can rapidly get good at using GNU+Linux by just using it because of its wonderful documentation. The best out there now, to be honest. I often found myself wandering around its wiki when looking for solutions on problems I had on other distros. It is one of the most reactive communities in the Linux world, with an astoundingly big package repository that guarantees you to always find what you're looking for, alongside support for your hardware. I don't use Arch, by the way, as I found it too time-consuming to keep it updated, and because I overall don't like running distributions that much, as I like to use a reliable rock-steady operating system. But it is an amazingly good distro that you can tailor to your needs whenever you want, to have a blazing fast and lightweight experience, and the latest version of all the software you use. Void. Quite an interesting one. Void is an independent distribution made from scratch, quite like Arch, based on the same set of principles and also rolling. What makes it different from Arch, I hear you ask? It is absolutely open source, excluding proprietary code, and uses the lightweight run it as an init system, rather than the overused systemd, which is an unoptimized, broken clusterfuck. I'll go back to that in another video. It is very good, should be more popular in my opinion and would benefit from a bigger community, as it unfortunately lacks documentation and a bit of bug testing. That being said, it might be one of the most stable rolling distributions out there, but shouldn't be used by an inexperienced user. Debian. One of the oldest distributions out there, Debian is the most used base for forks all around the world. A fork is a derivative work based on another. As an example, Ubuntu is based on Debian. Originally the work of an independent student, it has been since completely globalized by its amazingly big user base, the bigger of all of them, as Debian-based systems are the most used GNU+Linux all around the world. It is a stable, perhaps the most stable around, distribution, targeting servers needing the maximum uptime without needing updates or reboots. It can also be used by people looking for the most stable experience possible. However, because of this, a few of its packages get outdated a bit fast between versions, as the distribution gets updated only once in 4 years, certainly allowing one to have a stable operating system, but not really up-to-date software. It is kind of a compromise, and some projects are born out of it, such as backports, which allows one to install more recent versions of a particular program. I personally used Debian a very long time and had to stop using it because of my very particular hardware, which was unsupported by Debian. Nowadays, I don't longer recommend it to people that are asking me what they should use, as I found it too server-oriented. OpenSUSE. I see some getting triggered by the way I pronounce that, I know, but it's off topic. OpenSUSE is a widely used GNU/Linux distribution that aims to provide an operating system tailored for all kinds of users. I'll elaborate a bit on this. It allows you to use it for everything. Want to play video games? Yeah. Want to do video editing? Boom. Want to use it for development? You get it. OpenSUSE is a very good distribution, sponsored by SUSE Linux and other companies. It is comfortable to use for all kinds of users, and has a fairly big community alongside a very good documentation. It achieves these goals with YAST, which is a control center that allows you to easily manage your system from every aspect with a user interface. It declines itself in two versions. The stable one, codenamed Leap, and a rolling one, a bit more oriented towards power users, codenamed Tumbleweed, which allows you to have the latest versions of all software. You get it. I use OpenSUSE as my daily driver on one of my computers. MyGaya. MyGaya is a mid-weight distro aimed at all kinds of users, may it be newbies or power users that don't have too much time to spend under their system's lid. It was created from the cooperation of the developers of MyPis and NTX-Linux, two distributions. It is based on Debian. Without its quirks, however, it has a toolset that makes it easy to use, alongside up-to-date packages and rock-hard stability. It also features regularly updated kernels for more hardware support, which is kind of rare in the Linux community, especially for a stable distribution. Those kernels are security hardened for greater safety and greater security. It recently topped as #1 on DistroWatch, unofficially making it the most clicked and searched distro of this year, and even unofficially the most used of 2019. I now actively recommend it, and it also became my go-to system to install when asked to migrate to GNU/Linux. And one of the big reasons that makes me think that MX is awesome it doesn't use systemd.
Moving on to the last one, the number one being Slackware. In my opinion, the best distribution ever made for so many reasons. Slackware is the oldest Linux distribution. It is also the first one and still maintained as of today, mostly single-handedly by one determined man, Patrick Volkerding, since almost 26 years as of now. But why does it stand out that much from the others? Well, for the reasons that I've previously stated, but also because it is perhaps, at least to me, the most stable Linux distribution ever made. While it has a strong learning curve, it is not really friendly to newbies. It is my first GNU/Linux distribution, and I still use it on my main computer as of today. The key concepts behind it are to provide a strong, stable operating system, easily configurable by hand by its user, meaning a bit of time spent in the lid of your system, but never as much as what you would spend on Gen 2. Yeah, this is ridiculous, again, but like, only still Gen 2. Software made for Slackware is distributed as is. It isn't patched in a particular way to work with the operating system, meaning that you use the software like the developer intended and not otherwise. It is quite infamous for not having a package manager, which is completely false since community has since released package managers such as slapget or spooey. But anyway, off topic. So it has no dependence resolution per default, making the user aware of every piece of software installed on their system. It is positive to me as I like to know what I have in my machine. One other particularity of Slackware is that the software you install is proposed through a system called slackbuilds, which compiles the package from source for your system through community-written scripts, allowing you to easily have your system tailored for your needs with a breathtaking speed.
There we go, that's 10. Again, there's one obviously tailored for you, and of course some will disagree on some things I could have said or stated here. I sorted those out from the experience I've had with them while saying which holdings they're targeting. In the end, it's up to you to make up your mind on those and to find the one tailored for your needs. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you can press the like button, share, and of course subscribe with the bell icon so you don't miss out any future videos. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.